Hey, it's Rav. Welcome to the Everyday Investor, the hottest real estate investment show in the world. That's right, I said it. I don't care who knows it. We've got a great show lined up. We're going to be talking about how you can make money investing in vacation rentals. Remember, when anybody offers you any kind of investment strategy, any investment opportunity, you always want to ask 4 questions to start. Number 1, what is the return on my investment? Number 2, when do I get that return on investment along with the money that I put in? Number 3, what is the investment amount needed, minimum? And number 4, what is the risk, the worst case scenario? I have my good friend Nikki Edmonds on the show. Nikki's one of the producers of the show. She's a world traveler. She has 11 investment properties, and she helps me out tremendously. Nikki, thank you for being on the show. I give you a big hug and a kiss, but for the sake of being professional, let's just shake hands here. But no, Nikki, I mean, this is going to be fun. I wanted you to come on. We've known each other for years. You know my family for a long time. But you travel the world, and as you travel, I mean, you just got back from, I don't know, where'd you just do for 2 months?
Yeah,
Cambodia?
Asia, yeah. Kind of quite a few countries. I think I went to 7 countries.
7 countries over the last 2 months. And then prior to that, you were in South America. And then you were on your way to Nepal. And then there was, what happened? An earthquake happened there?
A week before I was scheduled to be there, yeah.
Yes. And so you do not have a brand association with Ritz-Carlton. When you do this traveling.
No,
and one of the things I love about what you're doing is you go and oftentimes it's for benevolent reasons, to be able to go and teach impoverished children or help out here and there. So you kind of live in hostels and oftentimes you know, very affordable vacation short-term rentals, Airbnb, which we're going to talk specifically on the show. And we kind of have somebody who manages investors' portfolio with the whole Airbnb brand that's going to come on. Lisa's going to come on the show for a few minutes. But what's that like being somebody who, I mean, you have 11 different properties in 6 different investment strategies. None of those are vacation rentals.
No, I haven't myself gotten involved renting out properties as vacation rentals.
Yes.
But I do have a condo that I do it as a long-term rental.
Yeah.
But I'm really interested.
You're thinking about it.
Yeah, I'm really thinking about it because, and Lisa will talk more about this, you can get so much more potential income because people are often renting for a shorter amount of time.
And then the short-term rentals, maybe even a day, 2 days, I don't know what the minimums are, we'll find out. But then you got someone like Lisa who's going to manage all that for you.
Exactly.
And so you go to IKEA or wherever you go and you just furnish the place for $10,000 or so and away we go. But you stay in Airbnbs often in your travels, whether it's in Canada or again abroad. What's it like? How as a person who uses it, what is it hard to book and talk a little bit about it as a user?
Yeah, and it's interesting because it's so international, right? I mean, when you're going to a new city, you just look it up and see what's available there. I really love it because you don't have kind of the formal feeling of staying in a hotel. You really feel integrated into the culture of wherever you're staying. You might be renting a house or a room in a family's house. Or an apartment.
Sometimes it goes by the room, it can go by the house. That's interesting.
Yeah, so it's really neat. It really helps you integrate. You're right in a neighborhood with other people. I really like it for those reasons. And sometimes I find it's a little bit, sometimes it's less expensive than staying in a hotel, and there's just a bit more character. Sure.
I mean, you get your kitchen there, you watch a little TV. I mean, and you know, when you do it, sometimes like, what's the longest you've stayed?
For me, a couple nights that I've
because you're always on the go.
Yeah.
Always traveling.
I've used it a little bit for work here in Canada and stayed for maybe a week at a time.
Okay, great. Well, thank you for guest co-hosting this episode with me.
My pleasure.
And we'll take a break, and then Lisa will come on the show, and we'll learn how to make money investing in vacation rentals, specifically Airbnbs. Don't go anywhere. It's going to be a great show. Hey, it's Rav. Welcome back to the Everyday Investor. We're talking to my good friend Nicole Edmonds. Co-hosting with me, we're talking to Lisa Marion, who manages short-term rentals, vacation rentals. Lisa, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
And Nikki's met you a little while ago, and she said, you've got to meet this girl. She's got a really cool story of how she got into the business world of managing investors' portfolios, specifically with short-term rentals. Talk to us a little bit about how that all came to fruition.
All right, well, back in 2010, when Airbnb was still in its infancy, I heard about it, thought it was cool, and started renting out just an extra room in my apartment in downtown Toronto.
In your apartment?
Yeah.
So you were renting?
I was renting.
So you were renting, and then you rented out a room in your apartment?
In my apartment.
Wow.
So we were like living together, kind of sharing space and stuff. Met some really great people that way.
Yeah.
And I did really well with that. And the New York Times kind of caught wind, and so they did a profile on me and on the service.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
And so these you would rent out short term, so you would have a different roommate however often.
Potentially, like you can go as low as one night, but I preferred to have them there at least for like 2 days, because you've got to do all this cleaning and laundry and stuff.
Sure.
So
minimum 2 days.
Yeah, for me, minimum 2 days, or it's not worth it.
Yeah.
But I'd have people stay with me from, the 2 days all the way up to, I think the longest was 3 or 4 months.
3 or 4 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you just did this with one room, or did you?
Well, I started with just one room, and then I actually converted my TV room, which I never used.
Yeah.
So I converted that with the funds that I was making into another room, and I rented that out. And so that went really well, and then eventually I moved to a larger apartment and with 4 rooms, and sort of snowballed from there.
So you're living for free?
I was making money.
You're making money?
Yes.
So you're living, because you have an apartment, it's a 4-bedroom apartment.
Yeah.
You're renting out 3 rooms through Airbnb, and it's paying for the rent.
Yeah.
And you're making some money to go to the movies and have dinner at the Keg.
Yeah, and like update all of my furniture and go on vacation.
That's so cool.
And it was a really great experience.
Yeah.
I actually ended up working for Airbnb for a while, and so I taught people how to host and how to make money.
I guess so.
So I worked with all their like high-end people that were bringing in the most bank, just to help them have a good guest experience and make sure they were just doing everything properly, so maximize what they got back.
And so do you still work for them, or no?
No.
Now you have your own business.
Right. So after my time at Airbnb finished, my friend and I, who also worked at Airbnb, we were sitting, we're like, hey, we could probably do this on our own with full apartments. I bet we could make some money, because at that time, doing the entire condo or house or anything, it wasn't as common.
Yeah.
And there was a need for it that we had recognized. So we got a little bit of money together from the families, and we rented an apartment in the city, and we furnished it, and that was a lot of fun. And then it was sort of our experiment to see, is this something that we can do? Can we maintain this? Can we grow from this?
Yeah.
And we did gangbusters. So I think about 6 months after we started, we got another unit. And we kept doing that in the beginning.
But these units, you're not owning them, you're just renting them.
Right. So at this time, we just rented them.
Yes. So you're renting apartments, and then you're, in my vernacular, you would be subletting them, but you were having short-term rentals with all the different rooms.
That's
so
right.
now you're moving on to a second one, and it just snowballed.
That's right. So, well, it would be a 1-bedroom apartment. And so you would rent the entire apartment, which is great, because you get the kitchen, and you can do laundry, and you get the privacy of a home while you're there. So we did that, and then news travels as it does, and we started having people approach us and ask if we could do this for them as well.
Well, I think you might have a new client here with Nikki, right? Nikki has a condo in the Metropolis, and
I've seen it. It's gorgeous.
long-term tenant, and you may want to do short-term rentals. And so the beauty of short-term rentals, Nikki, is that we have somebody like Lisa who's really managing it fully. Like, is this purely passive for somebody like Nikki if she wanted to do this?
Absolutely. Well, I offer a turnkey service.
Yeah.
So all you would have to do is sign the agreement and hand me your keys.
Okay. Because I mean, it does sound like there's definitely more management, right? Than if it was a long-term rental, you get the tenant in there.
It is labor intensive.
Okay.
Yes.
But that's what you take care of.
That is what I do. That is my specialty. It's something I love doing, and we've built systems
Fantastic.
in our
So let's
company.
look at one just kind of case study of a typical short-term rental that you're doing. So somebody like Rav or Nikki, as investors, we would buy a property, and we want it to be a short-term rental. Can you walk through some, let's just say it's, you know, $500,000 I think is what you have here?
Yeah.
Right?
The first thing though, you got to pick the right location.
Pick the right location, very important.
Most important.
Okay, so I'm not going to do this, you know, in a Kapuskasing, Ontario per se. We're going to do it in an area where people are, you know, close to airports or
wherever tourism happens is where you want to be.
Tourism.
Yes.
Rav Tourism.
That's right, Rav Tourism.
Okay, great. So the first thing we need to do is find location, location.
Always important in real estate.
Great. So I'm going to buy this property for
$500,000.
Let's say $500,000. Okay, and then I've got down payment here, and I've got closing costs, and then you say I've got to furnish this, right?
Yeah, let's say $15,000 for, you know, mid-range furnishings. You don't really want to put 100% IKEA into these units because it takes away from the allure of being in a homey kind of space.
Okay. So am I putting, Nikki, what am I going to do? Put 20% down here? $100,000?
Looks like it, yeah.
Okay, so down payment is $100K.
So Lisa, this is like a 2-bedroom or what kind of thing
this would be like a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom. You want to have like a nice sort of downtown location in a large city where there's action, there's transit options, perhaps parking. That's always a bonus.
Okay. And then closing costs, what do you have there for that?
Closing.
What do you got?
We got 10 grand.
$10,000. Okay.
Yep.
So I'm into this property for $125,000.
Yeah.
Correct? Mm-hmm. All right. So Nikki, let's go halves on this.
Okay.
We'll do this together. So we're gonna come up with $125,000.
Yeah.
And we want Lisa to do all the work for us. Okay. So with a normal property, of course, and there's no renovations to do, so there's no forced appreciation here. So we're gonna make money through some cash flow. It's gonna increase in value naturally, and somebody else, these guys are my short-term rental friends, are paying down my mortgage.
Yes, they are.
Right? So on this particular property, I can enjoy cash flow of what?
You can enjoy a cash flow of about $7,000.
$7,000.
Yeah.
Okay, so about, what's that, $600 just shy a month, so $7K on cash flow, and then this property goes up naturally depending on where it is in the country, but usually we use conservative numbers of about 5% or so.
Yeah, if you're looking at about 5%, you're looking around $25,000 a year.
$25,000 it goes up.
Yeah.
And then somebody's paying down my $400,000 mortgage. So on the principal, what am I making there in a year?
It's about $11,000.
$11,000. All right. So we add these numbers up, these three numbers, correct?
Yep.
And what do I got there?
Come out at about
13,
$43,000.
$43,000. And then, of course, whenever you're wanting to find out the return on investment, you take the profit, which is the $43,000, quite conservative numbers, I may say, and you divide that by what you're in for, the $125,000, and that should spit us out a return of?
Just shy of 35%.
35%. And I'm going to ask this question to you. Don't I have to pay for vacancy rate and for your fees and all that kind of stuff? Or is that already reflected in these numbers?
So things like the 25% vacancy rate, my fees.
Is that what we calculate? 25%?
Yeah, 25%.
Okay,
Because
that's healthy.
There's high season, there's low season.
Yeah.
We aim to get 75% occupancy around the board.
Yeah.
So it's a conservative number.
Yeah.
That does sound conservative for a long-term rental. A lot of the time we use 5%. So that sounds very
So
conservative.
I'm renting it out three quarters of the year, and the rest of the time, Nikki's staying in there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you can stay in your own property if you want to do that. Certainly, we work with clients that do
So
that.
25% vacancy
So
fee.
25% vacancy
your
fee.
fees.
My fee, which is about 20% on all the nights booked.
Yeah.
So we take a commission.
Yeah.
This also includes.
As you should.
Yeah. This also includes like furniture and decor improvements, such. You know, you need new linens every year, that kind of thing. So that we budgeted about $2,000 a year for that.
Yeah.
So all that stuff.
But is that reflected in these numbers?
Yes, it is. It's in the cash
So
flow.
this is net. The 43K is net of all the vacancy rate, the expenses, all that's calculated.
Everything's
Are you kidding
in
me?
there.
So Nikki, 35%.
Yeah.
But we're not doing anything.
Right.
Lisa's doing it all.
And I like when we were talking about this, I like this because for a lot of people, you know, a 2-bedroom condo in a major city, it's hard to get that kind of cash flow if you're just doing it a conventional long-term rental way,
Yes.
right? This is a pretty cool way to really up that cash flow.
Yeah, and the great thing is that you can always convert this down the line back to a traditional rental if it's something that you want to do.
That's true. Or I can move back into it if I wanted to.
You can move back
What-
into
but
it.
but to be able
There's
to
so many things you can do.
to be able, I mean, because again, there's no forced appreciation here. So I'm not adding a big chunk. This $43,000 is only going to get better because my mortgage pay down will increase over time. So I'm making $43,000, $125,000 investment. I could refinance. I could pull money out of it. We could do more, Nikki, in partnership.
Yeah.
And
That appreciation will get better, right? Because it'll start to compound
yeah,
over time. Yeah.
absolutely. So we're making 35%, doubling our money every, shy of 3 years, and we have Lisa to thank for that.
Yep.
So how many? I mean, are you managing a lot of people? Is it just growing? I mean, how do you scale this?
Well, we're still a small shop,
Yeah.
so we
Which I like. More focus on my
a lot.
my
Yeah, a
property.
lot more personal. I decorate a lot of the units myself, which seems to be going well.
Yeah.
And so we have anywhere between 10 and 30 right now. It depends, of course, on the market and how we get staff and stuff, but it's easily scalable because we've created a lot of processes and procedures, and we're trailblazers in the marketplace
Well,
for
you
that.
sound like it. Listen, this is
So-
very, very exciting. I commend you. It's inspiring to me. I thank you so much, Nikki, for introducing me to Lisa, and thank you, Lisa, for being on the show.
Thank you for
It's
having
been
me.
wonderful. Fantastic. We just heard from Lisa how she's managing investors' portfolios, doing a great job with that. Don't go anywhere. We'll come back with some closing thoughts. Thanks for watching. Hey, it's Rav. Welcome back to the Everyday Investor. We've been talking about how to make money with short-term rentals, vacation rentals. Lisa was just on the show here. Nikki, that was great. Thanks for introducing me to
Yeah,
her.
my pleasure.
And sounds like you may do this with your rental.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because once we're going through those numbers and we can see how you can get good cash flow on a condo that otherwise, they're sometimes hard to get condos in big cities
course.
to positively cash flow.
That's a great point.
Right? So this is a really neat
A
way
lot of people buy condos in big cities just for the appreciation.
Yeah.
But if you convert that into short-term rentals, furnish it, and again, it's not that much to furnish, she said.
Yeah.
Then you're making some cash flow
You
there.
can
What was the
really-
cash flow
yeah.
on that? That was like
It was $7,000.
$7,000, so like almost $600 a month.
Yeah.
You don't really find that in the city.
You don't typically if you're doing a long-term rental. You just can't get that kind of monthly rent.
And you have a condo that's in where? Toronto, right?
Yeah,
So-
it's in Toronto, in the heart of the city.
Nice.
2-bedroom, kind of similar to the example that we went through, and now I'm really considering switching it over.
Well, do you want a joint venture partner?
Oh,
Can I
maybe.
come in with you? I'll tell you what,
Maybe.
I'll buy the furniture.
Okay.
And we go
I don't know.
50-50, and I buy the furniture. Come
I don't know
on,
how
Nikki.
fair that is, Rob.
And then I think you mentioned, because you've known her now for some
Yeah.
time, you mentioned something about some guarantee rental. I mean, how does that work?
Yeah, so Lisa was telling me there's another strategy that they'll offer to their investor, the investor who owns the property,
Yeah.
where they themselves, the property
Offering
management
you.
company.
You own a property downtown
Yeah.
Toronto, so they'll offer you
So
what?
they'll offer to rent the property.
Yeah.
And then they will Airbnb it out or vacation rental it out short term. And so I get that guaranteed monthly rent. They go ahead.
Just like how she started.
Yeah, exactly.
She was renting apartments, so
Exactly.
she's saying she'll do a long-term rental with you.
Yeah.
You're guaranteed the rent.
Yeah.
And then she gets to do whatever she wants with it.
Right, and
can
she
do
gets to
short-term
make the
rental
spread,
and-
which is fair. It's a lot of
Yeah.
work. So
Smart
yeah.
girl.
Smart business.
Yeah, no, fantastic. So are you seriously, would you think about doing with your condo? I mean, why not?
Yeah, I would.
It
Absolutely.
makes no difference to you whatsoever.
Hopefully my tenants aren't watching the show right now, but I definitely would.
Oh, yes. Well, if they are, they're staying.
Okay.
And we'll just do it in another property.
Yeah.
Or we'll do it with their property and we'll move them to a better one.
Right.
You know?
It is a really great strategy because a lot of people want a piece of the big city pie, right? They want that appreciation, like you said. So why not do a few like that?
Yeah, and you can do them, again, the space doesn't have to be so big, right? You can find a 600-700 square feet. I mean, how much do people need if it's in
Yeah.
Metropolis, right?
Yeah, especially for short term, right?
For short
You're not
term,
bringing
that's what I'm
all your
saying.
Stuff. Yeah.
For short term, and there's no renovation real work to do. I mean, maybe a little bit of lipstick every so often, paint the walls, change the carpets, but there'll be all sorts of kind of regulations in place, with no smoking, no pets. I mean, we can do it whatever way we want.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Or I may have, you know, a cottage that I want to do a short-term rental, and sure, bring all your dogs and cats all you want, you know? So,
Yeah.
so I've never stayed, I don't think, in a short-term rental, but you have.
I have.
And you think they're great.
Yeah, and you
you
can
feel
find-
safe.
I feel safe. You
Yeah.
get your own key, your own, yeah. And I mean, you can go high end, you can go cheaper end, right? You can just do one bedroom, you can get a whole house.
And what happens if you want some solitude? Like, do you necessarily have to meet the owner if you don't want to, or?
I think they're all a little bit different. I know there's been ones where I've picked up the key in the mailbox, I've never met the owner.
Yep.
Right? I've communicated with them a little bit via email.
Of course.
But there's kind of house instructions, Wi-Fi password, and then it's like your living
And
space.
hey, I'm a people person, not that I don't want to,
Yeah.
but just for the folks at home watching the show,
Yeah.
you know. So you've stayed in them, you feel great about them, and now you might turn your condo into a short-term
I
rental.
might.
Well, Nikki, thanks for being on the show. Thanks for being one of the producers on the show. Thanks for being a friend.
My pleasure.
And just thank you for the sakes of saying thank you. And thank you, viewers at home, for watching the show. Without you, we wouldn't have one. If you want to learn how you can become an everyday investor, follow us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Make sure you go to our website all the time, www.theeverydayinvestor.tv. On behalf of myself, Rav Toor, we'll see you next week, same place, same time. Honey, I love you. I'll be home soon. Thanks for watching, everyone.